Uh, hey, I'm back. Sorry, it's in the shower. So Avatar Fire and Ash is the third movie in James Cameron's proposed 5-film saga. We'll talk more about that at the end of the video. Picks up directly after Avatar The Way of Water. Big Sully and his family are still hanging out with the water people. They are water folk, as is established at the end of that second film. And Quaritch is still out there, and he's still coming after Jake Sully with a vengeance, so now we kind of pick up where that... So now you have Avatar 3. And I mean, to start off with the positives, I mean, I'm not special for saying this. Everyone who reviews an Avatar movie is saying this as a positive. Visually, the world of Pandora has never looked better. Like, the leaps and bounds that have been made in just 3 years, it's insane. This was the movie where I finally kind of started to sympathize with those people that get that post-Avatar depressive episodes because they can't actually go to Pandora because Pandora is not a real place. It is fucking insane how real everything in this movie looks. You compare it to the first film, which, I mean, sure, technological achievement, visuals were great, the 3D was great, same with the second one, but there's a weird tangibility now. I don't know if it's the adapting from what we saw in Way of Water, but for me, this time around, I really, like, Pandora looks like a tangible, real place. I think part of that is because of Spider. You have this character who is a live action component who is interacting with all these visual elements. That kind of adds this element to your brain where you just kind of think, yeah, maybe this place is real. 3D, still great. Underwater scenes, fire scenes, you get a lot of those little particles floating around, and there's all the depth, and it feels like things are either in front of your face or behind other people's faces. And the action, obviously, as always, completely kick-ass. Old Jimmy Cameron, he knows how to make spectacle, especially in this film, where the scale of the third act is so much larger than the first and the second film. Everything's exploding, everyone's fighting everyone, all the Na'vi and all the humans, and they're just going at it. Some of these hits you really feel. I haven't seen it in a Dolby theater yet, but I imagine some of those hits in that Dolby theater are going to hit very fucking hard. Character work in this, top-notch. Stephen Lang as Quaritch is one of those perfect villains in these movies. He's such a dick. He's so fucking evil at times. And he also hooks up with Varong, the Fire Na'vi. Really cool element. And yeah, Varong. That might be the Una Chaplin of it all. But you see, just even a character who is completely CGI, you can still tell that is a very attractive woman. And you can immediately understand why Rob Stark broke an alliance with the Freys, because Jesus Christ, dude. Oh my god. And I think the Fire Na'vi are an excellent element, but I feel like their culture, they're these people who think their back has been turned on Aowa. They're obviously a little pissy. They're a little angry. But I do kind of wish we got to see more of them. The way that their culture is first established in the opening act when they first come to cause problems is so cool. And they never really do anything as cool as that. I mean, they still get some cool scenes and some cool throwdowns, but for the most part, you don't feel like their side of Pandora has really been expanded upon in the way that you think it could, especially in a movie that is dealing so heavily with these religious themes, these themes of faith. And I feel like these heretic characters who don't have any of that aren't really fleshed out in the way that they could have been. Also, I thought Neytiri was really good this time around. I didn't think we saw as much of her in The Way of Water as I really would have liked. She gets a fucking great throwdown at the end of that second film. But, for the first 2 acts, she's kind of there. Yeah, Zoe Saldana really came to play in this one. Like, Neytiri, hands down, one of my favorite characters in this movie. But then, everyone's kind of been talking about how it's a bit of a retread of Way of Water. And it feels like it's borrowing a lot of story elements from the first 2 Avatar films. I wonder how much of this I'm willing to forgive just because of the fact that I heard that Way of Water and Fire and Ash are 2 movies that were originally supposed to be 1 movie. But I still feel like even with that split up, there still needs to be other stuff. Like Lord of the Rings is 1 long story split up into 3 movies. each movie kind of feels like its own thing that is part of a larger narrative. With Fire and Ash, it does feel a bit of a retread with some things. I feel like the Simon Fragland score isn't really as impactful as the James Horner score from the original, but I mean, it's still a pretty cool soundtrack. And also Spider. I think I like the ideas that are happening with him. I like what they're doing. One scene in particular, really intense shit, but for the most part, I think I need to see the movie a second time to really kind of see fully if I appreciate what's going on with that character. Although I do like in this world where you have all these characters discussing wars to come and fights to be fought and the sanctity of the village and the family and how to keep everyone safe. And then Spider's in the corner doing a riff and doing a silly little dance. And also there's some reveals with Kiri that I'm kind of like... I called it in Way of Water. I feel like I'm not the only one who called it in Way of Water. I think it was pretty obviously set up that this is where they were taking that character. But the fact that they just kind of say it outright in Fire and Ash kind of was a reveal that I was just kind of like, okay. Huh. But I'll just say it doesn't matter because I still had a really good time. I think Avatar, Fire, and Ash, it's my least favorite of the three, but it's my least favorite in the way that Return of the Jedi is my least favorite of the original trilogy. Like, logistically, one of those movies has to be lower than the other two, but it doesn't mean the lowest one is necessarily bad. It just means it's my least favorite of the three. But like I said, I plan to see the movie again, so that doesn't mean my opinion isn't subject to change. Fire and Ash could go up in the ranking. There's some loose threads where, if this is the end, it's the end, and that's fine. Those loose threads, James Cameron said he'll wrap up in a book, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't rather see Avatar 4 and 5, so we'll see if this happens. Just like good character development, personal growth in my own life, because when I saw the first Avatar when I was 13, did not like it very much. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was stupid that James Cameron was about to make 4 movies, and then I rewatched Avatar 1 before The Way of Water, and I was like, okay, I think I do like these movies now. And then I liked The Way of Water more than that. So for Fire and Ash to be a bit of a step down when I was just kind of starting to find my love for these movies, it's a little disappointing in a way, but I mean, I still like these 3 movies. I want to see more of them. Sure, Fire and Ash is a bit of a retread, but I am willing to forgive that because of the knowledge that it is the second and third movie were originally supposed to both be the second movie. I like watching the Sullys go through those 5 stages of grief after Netaim's death in the second one. I like these topics of faith and religion and what do you do to protect your family. It's all in here. It's all great. I still think Avatar Fire and Ash is a movie that is worth watching. So kind of doing away with my rating system on this channel, so I guess the best I can say for Avatar Fire and Ash is that thumbs up. It's got my seal of approval. Avatar Fire and Ash. I'm getting this movie up on a Sunday, so odds are people have seen it by now. The box office for a James Cameron movie is usually a slow roll. People don't go out on that first weekend. You see those first weekend box office numbers and you think, okay, that's impressive, nothing to write home about. And then suddenly, 3 weeks later, these movies have crossed $1.5 billion. So, so on the off chance that you haven't seen Avatar Fire and Ash yet, I think you should see it. It's pretty fucking cool. So anyway, yeah. I'm back. I didn't do that with as much fanfare as I've done in the past, where I make a little skit about not having enough money to go see movies or anything. I just kind of left. But I'm back now, and that's all that matters. I'll upload videos every so often, because, I like talking about movies, and I want to talk about movies with other people. So I'm not going to make the promise of like, oh yeah, I'm going to upload videos all the time now. I'm just going to say that I'm here. I'm going to talk about movies when I talk about movies, and that's about it. Let's just leave it at that for now. So anyway, Avatar, Fire and Ash. Have you seen it yet? Where do you think it ranks among the other 2 Avatar movies? Whatever your thoughts may be, you can sound off in the comments. And if you like what you've seen, you can click right here, and I will see you guys next time. And I have to scuttle off with my usual walk-off camera. Bear with me.